monitoring saves lives and mitigates the spread of the coronavirus. He also unveiled a new public service announcement featuring himself and former governors Brown, Schwarzenegger, Davis, and Wilson.
They put me at the top of the queue.
Governor Newsom says we are not even out of the first wave of this
June
and nowhere
22nd,
near into the second wave.
1:30 p.m.
After Berkeley schools decided to rename Washington and Jefferson elementary schools because both men were slave owners, San Francisco schools are taking a second look at some names as well. Among them, Francis Scott Key Elementary. Key wrote the lyrics of the Star Spangled Banner, but was also a slave owner. Junipero Serra Elementary in Bernal Heights. Serra built many of the missions in California in an effort to confine and convert the indigenous peoples to Catholicism. And the Chronicle also reporting Washington High School and John Muir Elementary to be renamed for poet and San Francisco native Maya Angelou. The Monterey Bay Aquarium is planning to reopen on July 13th with online ticket sales opening July 1st. Fewer people will be allowed in, masks required, and there will be one-way paths through all the exhibits and viewing areas. We'll check your traffic along 580. That's coming up next on KGO.
Having a safe, secure, and comfortable home is more important than ever. Family-owned, Armstrong has been helping Bay Area homeowners for over 50 years. A foam roofing system helps seal your home from water and air infiltration and can save you up to 40% on heating and cooling costs. Right now, you can save up to 15% on any new painting, window, and foam roofing project with Armstrong. Call them today at 855-777-1234 or online at armstrong1234.com. License number 245291.
Mortgage rates are at historic lows, and this is our lowest 30-year fixed rate ever. And now your direct lender, Network Capital Funding, is offering mortgage rates at historic lows. See for yourself. Our 30-year fixed rate is 2.875 with a 2.89% APR. Incredible. Plus, there's no lender origination fees or discount points. This is the best it's ever been. And now you have Network Capital Funding on your side, saving you money and time with their uniquely fast, simple, and secure process. These are our best rates ever, so call now to save. See for yourself. Our 30-year fixed rate is 2.875 with a 2.89% APR. Incredible. Call the experts at Network Capital Funding. 800-500, the number 1 HIT. That's 800-500-1HIT. As in home run. It's a grand slam to your best savings ever on your new mortgage or refi. That's 800-500-1HIT or 800-500-1448. NMLS ID 11712. Visit NMLSConsumerAccess.org. Licensed by the California Department of Business Oversight under the Finance Lender Law. Number 603D787. An equal opportunity lender. Rates subject to change and credit approval. Call 800-500-1HIT for more information.
Now's the perfect time to buy a mattress during Mancini's Sleep World's triple bonus mattress sale. Receive a free set of microfiber sheets, gel fiber pillows, and a mattress protector with any purchase of $4.99 or more. Plus, enjoy 0% financing for 48 months. Purchase online, by phone with a sleep consultant, or with our stores now open by private in-store appointment, so you can try it before you buy it.
I'm Randy Mancini, and our entire Sleep World family is here for your family. Visit us at sleepworld.com.
11-year-old Kimoto figured out how to convince oysters to make pearls.
And 127 years later, they are still the finest pearls on earth.
Kimoto pearls.
Glowing.
Translucent.
Shimmering rainbow pastel colors.
Pearls are created by light, and they're the birthstone of you. Lucky you.
Shreve and Company. Luxury timepieces, fine designers, flawless diamonds, and Kimoto pearls.
In Palo Alto, Shreve is perfectly situated in the Stanford Shopping Center.
And the flagship Shreve is at 150 Post, off Union Square.
Chevron and its brands are committed to reliably providing fuel to customers, even during an emergency. The safety and health of workers, customers, and the communities where Chevron operates are primary concerns. In Northern California, Chevron and Mexico stations are open for business, supplying quality fuels in a safe manner.
KGO 810 Traffic is sponsored by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. These are challenging times, and Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans is prepared to help. If you need mortgage assistance, contact their team 24/7 at rocketmortgage.com. From their home to yours, the team at Rocket Mortgage is with you. Visit rocketmortgage.com. Heather taking a look at 580.
It is sweeping going on coming out of the Altamont Pass from the Tilton Auto Body and Traffic Pass. So for that reason, westbound 580 is hampered between North Flynn and First Street. Also getting word of an injury accident northbound 680 near Sonoma Boulevard. Looks like cars made it to the shoulder, but there's debris in the roadway. 129 in between Gilroy and San Juan Bautista is still closed just west of 101 for a serious head-on injury accident. If you're getting out of San Francisco, that is starting to get delayed. Eastbound 80 between 101 and the Bay Bridge. Traffic sponsored by UA Local Union 393.
weather forecast, we're looking at some pretty warm inland temperatures through this whole week with highs in the mid-90s, upper 90s by Friday. So warm inland, we'll keep it in the 80s Bayside and the low to mid-60s by the coast this week. Currently 68 in the city. I'm Kim McAllister, KGO 810.
Securities and advisory services offered through United Planners Financial Services. Member FINRA SIPC. Bertucci & Associates and United Planners are not affiliated.
Unnerving is not fun, especially when you're talking about your own finances, and especially if you are saving for retirement and you see your portfolio dropping in value as it has lately. Now that is a little unnerving. Pat Bertucci and the team at Don't Invest and Forget may have some answers for you, like helping explain ways to get stable income for the rest of your life, and take some of that scariness away so things won't be so unnerving. You may not be able to control what's going on out there, but you can control your finances. Get questions answered with a free FaceTime call or phone call with Pat Bertucci or one of his team. No obligation. Just call 888-PLAN-WISE or go to don'tinvestandforget.com. That's don'tinvestandforget.com. 888-PLAN-WISE or go to don'tinvestandforget.com.
Now, back to Chris Merrill, filling in for Pat Thurston on KGO 810. What's the point? What's the point? I mean, what is the point? No, I'm seriously asking you. I'm not trying to be flip about it. What's the point? Protesters tearing down statues here over the weekend, and we saw this nationwide, and we saw it here. Right? We saw this happening locally with Junipero Serra statue coming down, Francis Scott Key statue coming down, Ulysses S. Grant torn down, Miguel Cervantes statue was vandalized. So it's a lot of going after statues, and I guess I'm kind of wondering. I get the point on some of them. I get the point on Junipero Serra, right? Okay, guy may have settled things. Guy may have pushed for the settling of Europeans throughout California. There are monuments and or namesakes dedicated to him from far northern California all the way down to San Diego, well, and everywhere in between. Right? But I get the history there, conversion, the
enslavement,
sort of very authoritarian tactics that were used.
Oh, how nice! Genocidal acts.
Years ago, so I understand that. I understand tearing those down. The Ulysses S. Grant statue, I'm kind of wondering, what's the logic on the Ulysses S. Grant statue? Now, wait a minute, buddy, because I know some of you are going to go, Merrill! They get very angry. Ulysses S. Grant did have slaves, right? So I get there's some history from history.com, which is History Channel. The last president to personally own enslaved people was Ulysses S. Grant. Right? He owned slaves prior to 1859. He kept a lone black enslaved man named William Jones before the Civil War. Gave Jones his freedom in 1859. But Grant, as we all know, was the commander of the Union Army in the Civil War. He's the guy that took the unconditional surrender at Appomattox Courthouse. Grant would sum up his evolving views on slavery in 1878. He was quoted as saying that it was a stain to the Union that people had once been bought and sold like cattle. He was one of those guys, though, right? I mean, he was somebody that did that. So is he being hypocritical when he said we shouldn't own people? Or is he somebody that through his life sort of realized the error of his ways and then fought as much as Lincoln to free the slaves during the Civil War? So his statue comes down. So I guess I kind of wonder, he certainly made mistakes. He remedied that mistake when he set his lone slave free, William Jones. He set Jones free, and then he fought to free the other slaves. If there's any slave owner, this is going to sound critical here, but if there's a slave owner that should have a monument, it would be the person who came to the realization and then War II because, well, he was a Nazi. He was, but he fought to free Jews. Yeah, but he was a Nazi. Yeah, you're right, he was. So, are we a little discombobulated with our cancel culture? 808810 is that number. It's 808810. Let me get to Kanyon. Kanyon from the South Bay. Thanks for calling.
Hi.
Good to talk to you.
Hi there. Kanyon from the South Bay. I am a local indigenous person who identifies as Ohlone, even though that's a misnomer. I'm glad to be here.
Okay. What do you think about what's going on with the statues today?
I am also in line with what you're saying. This whole cancel culture is slightly an issue. However, there are so many people who are pitting each other against each other, i.e., let's say the Italian Americans who are upset at natives for changing the holiday and taking down Columbus. I'm not anti-Italian ancestry community. I'm anti-Columbus, who was the beginning of the end. Same thing with Junipero Serra. It was the beginning of the end for the indigenous peoples, and even though people proclaim that it honors history and people are trying to say removing them is a revisionist history. No, the establishment of these statues with the lackluster of information about the perspectives in history is a revisionist history, and that's the problem I have. I am for removing or if they are staying, there needs to be due diligence in the representation of history presented around these forms of media. I understand what you're saying when cancel culture, remove them out of reaction. I also recognize that and sympathize with that.
So what? I had somebody ask me a question earlier today. They said, okay, so you've got Junipero Serra, and we know what his contributions were to the development of California and eventually the western half of the United States, right?
Yes.
And we know he was a bad dude, but we can't deny that we wouldn't be the successful economic engine, population center of the Western Hemisphere today if it were not for somebody like him. Is there a way that we... So how do we reconcile that? Can you put up, say, I don't know, statues of more indigenous people? Does that... It doesn't feel like that offsets the harm that Junipero Serra did, but at the same time, is there a way to recognize anything positive about an individual?
Representation of truth in history. I do recognize as an indigenous person with mixed ancestry that I would not be who I am, and I would not have learned from the occurrences that I've learned from had these things not occurred in this historical timeline. However, when it comes to our curriculum of our young youth, and when it comes to our governing structures and how we behave and the considerations about what we do in this world, we do not account for our impact to the environment, the rights of nature, and how we engage in our community. So when we think about when we think about the consequences of our actions, it is very economically driven and capitalistic, materialistic, and we deny us as individuals, as humans, how we impact the environment or the next 7 generations. And that's our entire establishment of our governing structures, our economy. Yes, we are technologically advanced, but how great is that advancement when our waters are being poisoned, when our marginalized community members are engaged in this cancel culture? They're so angry and hurt, and the hurt is valid, yet the fragility is just as terrible because the dominant society culture happens to be whitewashed and has limited opportunities to engage in culture sharing opportunities. Therefore, the fragility is real, the caucasity is real, and everyone's in the state of reaction where everyone feels that their opinion is trumping others, and we can't have those difficult conversations. So I am deeply invested in this issue.
Hey, great. I love your passion.
Thank you
So much for the call. It's good.
Appreciate it.
808810 is that number. It's 808810. The Daily City where Jason is.
Where everyone feels that their opinion is trumping others, and we can't have those difficult conversations. So I am deeply invested in this issue.
Good. Katie, hey, great. I love your passion. Thank you so much for the call. It's good to talk to you. 808810 is that number. It's 808810. The Daily City where Jason is. Jason, welcome to KGO 810.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. Wow, that last caller, she's something else, man. So basically, I just wanted to say about the removal of these statues. You know, a lot of people say you can't rewrite or erase history, and it's not about erasing history. It's about ending the celebration of genocide. And, you know, if people want to honor these historical figures, then maybe we can move these statues and these pieces of art to Oppression and Genocide Museum, where
Yes.
they could teach the bad along
Yes.
with the good contributions that these historical figures contributed. You know, I'm a Northern Arapaho, and I like to be identified as an Indian because I like people to remember that Columbus was lost as hell when he, quote, discovered America, and he thought he was in India. So although the popular term is indigenous now, it's like, no, I'm Indian. You want to know why they call me Indian? Because Columbus was lost.
He's bad at maps. That's why. He was terrible. Yeah. Interesting. What do you think, Jason, about somebody like the Ulysses S. Grant statue? Do you have any thoughts on that one?
Too much about that. I don't really know too much about Grant, but on a side note, with all the change that's going on right now, with Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben going away, and NASCAR banning the Confederate flag, I think it's time, and as well as these statues coming down, I think it's time for professional sports to look at changing some names like Chiefs and Redskins and Indians and Braves. I think that's been a long time coming, and hopefully that gets thrown in the conversation.
Oh, I think it is. I certainly think it's being added to the conversation. Good talk, Jason. Thank you so much. That's funny. Well, I want to be called idiot so I can remind people how lost Columbus was. I love it. Francis Scott Key is another one that his statue came down. I thought that was really interesting. That they took down Francis Scott Key's statue, pulled it down. Some say vandalized. And they pulled that down because Key owned slaves. So then, I guess, I take the next logical step, and I say, all right, he also penned the national anthem. So can somebody's art, in this case the national anthem, can that be separated from the author? So are we celebrating the works of Francis Scott Key every time we sing the national anthem? Do we need to have a change in the national anthem now? Because the guy that wrote it, obviously this statue comes down because he owned slaves. I don't know the answer to that. I'm throwing it out for conversation. 80-80-810. 80-80-810. Go to Milpitas and Mike. Mike, welcome to KGO 810, man. Good to talk to you. Oh, I lost Mike. Sorry about that, pal. All right. 80-80-810 is that number again. 80-80-810. One statue that's catching a lot of attention all of a sudden is this one of Teddy Roosevelt. And I don't know that this one seems to be stirring up more controversy than what it really should, in my opinion. But the problem is people don't really want to find the context. So what they do is they say there's an assault on statues. Okay? And I think in some cases the people that were tearing things down in many ways are doing this. They're making the same mistakes as people who are condemning those taking statues down, where they somehow think that there's a war on statues. I don't think we have a war on carved stone. I think we have a war on representation, on what those carved stones represent, which is why when you've got Miguel Cervantes' statue being vandalized, why? Why are we vandalizing his statue? Dude was actually enslaved himself. He doesn't fit any of the criteria for this has to come down. He's a bad man being represented in stone. Why? In the same way, there's another statue that's coming down, and people are not grasping the context of this, and that is Teddy Roosevelt.
The statue of Teddy Roosevelt that has presided over the entrance to the American Museum of Natural History for 80 years will reportedly be removed. Mayor de Blasio tells the New York Times that the museum asked to remove the statue because it depicts black and indigenous people as subjugated and racially inferior. The museum's president tells the Times the issue is just with the statue and not Roosevelt himself, with whom the museum has a long history.
Okay, I think that's an important distinction. It's an issue with the way the statue depicts things. And if you haven't seen it, it's Roosevelt on a horse, and he's got one indigenous individual, one black individual behind him, and it looks as though they've been subjugated. And so they're saying, well, look, by the way, Teddy Roosevelt was racist as hell. But for him, it was mostly against Asians. So if you have issues with Teddy Roosevelt and you want to bring that statue down, I think it's important to recognize why you would want to be bringing that statue down. It would be because of offenses toward Asian cultures. Specifically, if you recall, Chinese were building the railroads across the United States, and he had issues with the Chinese in the same way Donald Trump has issues with people south of the southern border. So if you wanted to have issues with that, that's a conversation to have. 100%, absolutely. But people are saying, well, there's a war on statues. Teddy Roosevelt didn't own any slaves. So why are you taking the statue down? Take it down because the statue looks as though it's representative of basically a dominant European over an African American and an indigenous American. So that's why the statue comes down. That's why the History Museum says, look, our issue is not with Teddy Roosevelt in this case. Our issue is with the way the statue is representing things. You get more of your thoughts here in just a few moments. And just kind of curious, and one of our callers was sort of hinting at this, and that is teaching the completeness of history, total context. Is there a better way for us to remove these statues than for a horde of people in the middle of the night to throw a tow strap around the necks of the statues and tear them down? Is there a better way to do this? Now, you're always going to have people that are going to be angry about statues coming down because they don't like change, right? But is there a better way to do this that won't alienate so many? Get your thoughts on this in a moment. It's 80-80-810, 80-80-810. Chris Merrill in for Pat Thurston, KGO 810.
Chris Merrill for Pat Thurston on KGO 810.
Scientific studies indicate that ingredients found in many sunscreens may cause damage to humans and the environment. To choose a safe sunscreen and what to look for, go to safesunscreencouncil.org.
Your NorCal Honda dealers want you to have a safe and happy 4th of July holiday. To help, we're offering unprecedented lease and financing offers on every new Honda model, now through July 5th, during our July 4 Honda sales event.
All right, the rest of it you can look up.